There is something undeniably different about the smile of a Sagittarius. It doesn't just sit on their face, it moves through the whole space around them. It slips under the skin, into the nervous system, into the places that forgot what warmth feels like. It is not simply a pretty smile or a charming expression. It is a feeling, a temperature, a change in the atmosphere. Their smile arrives like sunlight on a day you did not expect to see the sky. When they smile, the room shifts, tension loosens. People lean in without realizing they've moved. Conversations feel lighter, laughter flows easier, and even the ones who swore they were done with love, done with hope, done with believing in anything, feel something small and stubborn flicker back to life. Their smile doesn't ask for permission to affect people, it just does. But that kind of power never comes from nowhere. There is always a story behind a light that bright. Sagittarius learned early that the world reacts faster to joy than to pain. That people are more comfortable with enthusiasm than confusion, with jokes rather than raw truth, with "I'm fine" instead of "I'm not okay and I don't know what to do about it." So they adapted. Not by pretending to be someone else, but by amplifying the parts of themselves that made life bearable. They leaned into laughter. They leaned into adventure. They leaned into the image of the strong one, the upbeat one, the one who keeps going no matter what. And their smile became the symbol of that choice. A decision over and over again to reach for light instead of sinking into darkness. Their smile is not a mask in the shallow sense, it is not fake. Their joy is real, their sense of humor is real, their excitement for life, for possibility, for what comes next, is painfully, beautifully real. But that doesn't mean it tells the whole story, because behind the brightness, there is a heart that feels everything, a heart that gets attached quietly, faster than it admits, a heart that remembers every time it was misunderstood, underestimated, or taken for granted. A heart that has been told, directly or indirectly, that it is too much and never enough at the same time. So they learn to be careful with how much of that heart they show. This is where intimacy becomes complicated for them. Sagittarius craves connection, but fears being trapped inside it. They want to be seen, but not controlled. They want to love deeply, but not lose themselves in the process. They want a bond that feels like freedom, not a cage disguised as commitment. And until they find that, their smile does a lot of the talking for them. With most people, their smile is bright, quick, effortless. It keeps things fun. It keeps things light. It makes them easy to be around, easy to approach, easy to love from a distance. It's the version of them that the world falls for, the storyteller, the adventurer, the one who turns an ordinary moment into something you'll remember later and smile about. But with someone they truly trust, their smile changes. It slows down, it softens, it stops performing and starts revealing. There is less sparkle and more warmth, less show and more sincerity. Their eyes don't just shine, they open. You can see the weight they've carried, the questions they still haven't answered, the pieces of themselves they're not sure where to place. Intimacy with Sagittarius doesn't always show up as a dramatic confession or a flood of tears. Sometimes it shows up in quieter ways. The way they sit closer without fidgeting, the way they let silence exist without trying to fill it, the way they listen without needing to turn everything into a joke. It appears in the stories they suddenly choose to tell, the ones that aren't polished or funny, the ones that end with, "I've never really said that out loud before." In those moments, their smile is not a shield. It is an offering. It says, "This is me when I'm not entertaining anyone. This is me when I'm not trying to be strong. This is me when I allow myself to be human, not just hopeful." It is the tenderest version of their expression, and it is reserved for very few. Their smile hides the nights they stayed awake replaying conversations, wondering if they were too much, not enough, or somehow both at the same time. It hides the guilt they feel when they need space, but don't know how to ask for it without hurting someone. It hides the numbness that sometimes creeps in when life feels repetitive, limiting, or painfully small. It hides the exhaustion of always being the one who bounces back. It also hides the depth of their loyalty. People see their freedom and assume they don't attach. But when Sagittarius truly connects, the attachment is fierce, even if they don't always show it in traditional ways. They think about the people they love more than they'll admit. They notice more than they comment on. They feel responsible, in their own strange way, for keeping the spirits of those they care about above water. Their smile is the bridge between all of these pieces. It is the place where their wounds and their hopes stand side by side. And here is the deepest layer. Their smile is also a promise to themselves, a promise that no matter what they've been through, they won't let bitterness define them. A promise that they will keep searching for meaning, for beauty, for moments that make life feel vast and open instead of small and tight. A promise that they will not let anyone, not even their own fear, convince them to live half-heartedly. So when that smile turns towards someone in a quiet room, when it softens instead of sparkles, when it is followed by a deep breath instead of a joke, that is intimacy. That is them saying, "You are safe territory." That is them stepping out from behind the version of themselves the world thinks it knows and letting someone see the raw, unedited, unguarded soul underneath. If that soul seems radiant, it is not because it has never known darkness, it is because it has and still chooses light. Behind the bright, wild, untamed smile of Sagittarius lives a heart that has loved bravely, broken quietly, healed slowly, and still believes in more. A spirit that still bets on joy, a soul that refuses to let pain be the final story. And the ones who truly notice this are changed by it in quiet, lasting ways. Being close to that kind of light doesn't mean every moment is easy. There are days when Sagittarius pulls away without explaining why, days when their need for space feels confusing, days when their silence says more than their laughter ever could. Even then, their smile lingers in memory like a doorway left slightly open. It makes people want to grow, want to risk, want to believe that love can be both wild and safe. In intimate moments, late-night talks, shared beds, simple walks where hands briefly find each other, their smile becomes a softer language. It can say, "I'm here," without sound. It can say, "I'm scared, but I'm trying." It can say, "I don't know where life is taking me, but this matters." When they let their body relax into someone else's arms and their breathing quietly sinks with another heartbeat, that unguarded smile appears. That is their soul exhaling. Thank you for watching. Let us know down below if this video resonates with you, and if you know any Sagittarius, remember, their smile is a lot more than meet the eyes.